This episode is sponsored by SKS Luxury Appliances. If you've spent time around Signature Kitchen Suite, one thing designers notice right away is the technology. The interface feels familiar and intuitive because it's the same engineering that comes from LG, the company that produces the systems used in many of the luxury vehicles people drive today. Clients recognize it instantly and know how to navigate it, but SKS is also investing in designers through their Designer Rewards program and by sponsoring IDC. If you're specifying kitchens for serious cooks, give SKS a look. Learn more at sksappliances.com. SKS, built for people who truly love cooking. Hi, I'm Laurie Laizure with To The Trade for Interior Design Community. I have Nile with me. Hi, Nile.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Hi.
How are you?
Back at it, right? We're
Yeah.
doing our thing. Always having these fun podcasts for interior designers. And we have Christie Leu with us today from Christie Leu Interiors. Christie, please introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about you and your business.
Hi, I'm Christie Leu. I have my own business, an autonomous business, Christie Leu Interiors. I have been working as an independent interior designer for 13 years. I have one employee and some 1099 employees and lots of trade partners in
Wonderful.
contractors and other and architects and really great partnerships.
Well, I took a look at your work and it's so good. Just so you
Stunning.
know, I really love it. You know, every designer has sort of an origin story. What made you get into interior design? What was it that drew you in? Because once we draw you in, we don't let you go.
We don't want to go. We don't want to go. I'm big for
Can't turn it off.
A lot like a lot of people. Everybody talks about how they decorated their rooms. They did their thing. They helped other people. They started redecorating their own homes. I was called a serial redecorator by one of my contractors before I became a designer. And then he asked me to help him with some of the projects he was doing and clients that needed help. And during that time, I was also a self-employed artist. So I worked as an artist, which is the difference in my story. I worked as an artist for 15 years. I have never been anything but self-employed in my whole adult life. I can't, other than, doing my internships when I was training, I've always been self-employed. So I guess that entrepreneurial spirit was strong.
Yes. Wow.
So as an artist, I made a living, bought a house, and I did fine functional crafts. A lot had something to do with decorating a house. So I was there already.
Your feet were kind of in the water a little bit. And
I love color, and
I can tell. I was definitely noticing that you have like a lot of pattern, a lot of color. It's beautiful. And but it plays so well.
It does.
I mean, you do some really interesting things. I mean, I was blown away. I thought I actually really like your work a lot. And I think that we're going to be putting links to your site so the designers can go over and check you out and see it too. But you have a really great portfolio after 13 years. How do you feel like that background in art really applied to the design work? What do you use from that part of your career in design and starting a design business?
So for sure, everything about it. And I don't think there's a single designer who wouldn't agree that everything in your life feeds into your design. I am the mother of triplets and 2 other children. So I have organizational skills that I am certain I would never have had if I just stayed being an artist without those kids.
Right.
Because I could go on and do ADHD and I could just create. Well, no, you have to organize your time, organize your materials, organize everything. So there's that. But from the art experience, I would absolutely say color, composition, all of that matters in interior design. The composition is, oh, wait, there's something over in that corner. I need something balancing that in the upper corner. If that's the lower corner, if it's an asymmetrical design, fireplace is not centered in the room, I've got to balance it with something else. And those things come naturally to a lot of us who are artists. But I still actually give it a thought as I'm working. It comes in, all the time. I used to mix my own colors all the time as an artist, so I can just pretty much match from memory colors and also see where the tones are and what colors mixed into that color. I'm like, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely is very art forward. I remember, like just looking through and seeing pattern choices, and it was just bold. You've got a bold look that I really appreciate because I love when people do that, a more personalized home. I think it's, you know, to be in a situation where you're being a little bit more brave with your interiors. I luckily we're seeing more of it. There's still always designers who are going to be comfortable and neutrals and their clients are comfortable in neutrals, and I can appreciate it. Honestly, I went from having a house that was pretty colorful to my house now currently, as you can tell, is a lot more neutral. And now that I'm older, I kind of like the neutrals, but I love color. I came from the art world originally as well. I was in fine art digital printing world, but I worked with artists for the first part of my career exclusively. So I understand that, you know, and when I worked with designers, it wasn't that different, working with, honestly, it was always pretty similar because the personality types are pretty similar. But I thought it was, I think it's really interesting. So what you just started because the contractor you worked with already was like, can you help out? And then did that springboard you? Did that grow from there?
It was, it got me more interested and made me realize, wait a second, I could do this. I used to laugh and say I was a pretty good artist and I was a pretty good business person, which made me ahead of a lot of the artists when I was acting as an artist. And it's exactly the same as a designer. I'm good with numbers, I'm good with understanding how things are profitable. And that has always, when I was babysitting, I used to make art and I would work. The kids were asleep and I was working and I would laugh. I was making $100 an hour as a 15-year-old making art while I made $1 an hour as a babysitter.
Right.
And I calculated that. I was
Nice.
looking at productivity and I was checking out what it is. And I still am like, okay, this isn't productive. Get it off the table. This isn't. What can I do? And then I'm also thinking, what's photographable at the end of a project? Am I going to be happy with it? The client, of course, is the client going to be happy with it? I like to incorporate other artists' work if I can. I have a wonderful muralist, and you'll see her work in some of my images.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's terrific. She can do anything.
Oh my gosh. I
Every
love
so often I'll make a
murals.
piece just
I mean, a
for her.
muralist is one of my favorite things is a mural because
She's
I
fantastic.
started to get into this industry. I came in through starting a customized walls company, and murals were like a big part of that. I'm so into murals. I think that they're game changer in a room. I mean, it's a way to you can do so many things with it. It's just there. It's unbelievable what you can do with a good muralist.
It's a big statement.
It
Mhm.
is, and it's
So
people think that you get sick of it, but there are so many murals I just love. Like they're so iconic. I mean, think of all the murals we see outside too, and I mean, how much it enriches our lives when we walk by a building and it has like this stunning mural that we didn't expect to see. It's the same thing when someone comes into your space, like to be able to see something, and I mean, so many tastefully done things you wouldn't even sometimes even know it is a mural in some cases. That people think it's like a hand done wallpaper or something of that nature. So that's exciting that you incorporate that. I love that.
yeah, I do
Every
too.
successful designer has experience with setbacks. Can you share something that happened that kind of informed your career? It sounds like you're very analytical. So you're looking for where you can refine your process. Is there something that made you change that?
There's no time that you're not trying to improve.
That's right.
I don't think that
Yep.
ever, if you may as well just stop
Yep.
if that is the case.
So true.
Game changer was when I this is where I really put myself into this. I was doing an addition on my house. We didn't have a garage. We had 5 kids. We needed a little more space. And I was working with some wonderful architects. And I was doing what I do now with them, like picking the finishes and anticipating the needs and making sure the contractor had the information before it was a problem, which is often the problem when on a construction project because people are not making decisions quickly enough and no one's telling them when.
Right.
So I was already in the mode of doing that. And and I really enjoyed working with this particular architect. And I thought I could go back to school. My triplets were going to preschool, and so I signed up for interior design classes. I learned CAD. I learned kitchen and bath design. Got the kind of the building blocks.
I mean, I don't think in design you ever can stop learning. I think that's one of the tough things about this profession. People think they can learn and then just start your career, and I just don't think you ever. The most successful designers I know, they're never stopping.
But and additionally, our environment is changing.
Yeah,
Technology and like Zoom calls, and we went to COVID, and all of a sudden we could Zoom and we could do this and that. I love online presentations now.
you
Hmm.
I
do.
love, being able to do both. I mean, ideally, I love to be with the clients, but
Sure.
in their home so I can see. But it's also great to be able to have a quick Zoom when you've got a few extra decisions that need to be made or
Yep.
changes and pivot. And we're learning how technology can benefit us, all kinds of things happening. I have not yet started to fully embrace AI, but I will have to.
Yes, I know. I'm actually going next week to Ferguson in California to teach a class on AI for designers. And it's all the thing, for me, my thought is like start with just the things that are the pesky business things you don't want to do anyway. Start there with AI because it's like those are things you're not already doing and that aren't on your plate. Like, so starting with like the blog and, we all have to get better about coming up in AI searches now, which is a
Yeah,
bummer, but it's part of
yeah.
how we have to think about our marketing and business stuff. So that's where I always think, you know, designers should start. It's so hard because you are all artists in your own right, and so much of AI is watered down. It's like it's at best it is something that is making things kind of an average. So it's trying to go out in the internet and find averages, and artists aren't that way. They don't find averages. They find something that's exceptional or different or
What it can do, and actually, I do use it more organically and indirectly because a lot of my 1099 people are doing stuff. I get renderings, I have blogs, I have all kinds of things that are using AI. And of course, I love the editing of my emails and getting the grammar corrected and all that stuff is really fun.
right.
But what it gives you is it gives you your base. This is how I'm interpreting it. It gives me what I call the base, like it'll get you the room. And then
Hmm.
I get to do the zhuzh. I can add the mural, I can add the art, I can add the fabrics, I can do that. So it takes some of that beginning part away that
Right.
is just drudgery, which is, of
Yeah.
course, what we're doing all the time. You hire a really good bookkeeper so you don't have to do that. You hire an accountant so you don't have to do that. I have the conversations with them. I'm aware of what their numbers are, but I'm not doing the input of all that information anymore.
So how many
Person I
1099
hired.
people do you have right now?
Oh, God, I don't know. It dep- I truly maybe at least a dozen that
A
different people
dozen?
do things. Somebody who, are installers, wallpaper and then two or three architects and my window treatment fabricators. Who else is in there? A
Are
renderer,
any in the
a couple of
business
renders.
are business support roles or
Say that again.
like business support roles? Do you have any in the business support roles?
So I guess technically my bookkeeper maybe 1099. I'm not sure if she is or not because
Yeah.
she does her own. She she produces my 1099 documents. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just seeing more and more designers hiring VAs, and we do too. I
my
mean, I have a couple of VAs in our world too, and for interior design community, and it's a different world now because of our ability to get talent from wherever and work cohesively with people.
Hmm.
I think it's changing the game for how we do all of this.
Hmm.
So
where people live.
I
People can
know.
live out in
Yeah.
some rural area and be fantastic, skilled people, but they can work as a VA in a bunch of different ways.
Absolutely. We have one of the person who's our vice president of marketing, and she's going to college right now and she's in the same like big family as actually the three of us. We are all Nile has 4 children. I have 4 children. You have 5 children. So when you have a big family like that, it's that a portion of your day is family. Now my kids are grown up, but still
Yeah, yeah.
family.
Doesn't stop.
But that they, when you have a big family, sometimes it's like, you need flexibility of something like that where you can work when you want to work. And if you're running around and doing pickups and drop offs and after school sports and camp and all the fun things, that you can have this flexible hour schedule. I think it's just really smart that a lot of designers are starting to do that. Plus, you don't have that overhead, that sticky, commitment of like, I have to do, if I don't, there's going to be, I have to offboard someone, I have to let someone go. It's
Hmm.
a little bit easier in that process of like, oh, this month is really, really slow. Can we do less hours this month? Things like that, where you're still respectful of someone's time and efforts for your brand, but you can manage your cash flow easier, I think, as a designer. How do you balance the business aspect of design and then the creative aspect of design, which I think is really hard for a lot of designers who gravitate to the design portion? But I can tell from this conversation, you also gravitate to the business aspect of design. You seem to be very, very strategic thinker as well.
Balance. Well, I would, it is, both things are intuitive for me.
Right.
So I don't feel, there are times when, bookkeeping, when I have to do time billing. That is probably my least favorite thing to do in the whole world. But otherwise, I try to keep up on both, and then having the bookkeeper and the accountant who are constantly updating and sending me the reports, and I look at them and I check, and it keeps me always in the loop of what's happening. And
Do you look at like micro, like the different profit margins of different types of parts of your business? Are you like that finite of like, I know I make gross profit
not
margin
every
of this?
month, but I
Yeah.
am very consistent. So I already know, like I know what the profit margin of each category is because it almost doesn't change. I can tell.
Right.
I at the beginning of the project, I could probably, predict. Not quite the beginning because I'm not as definitive about scope from the
Mm.
beginning, which some people are, because I
About
know.
that. I'm
Yeah,
curious
I'm
about that.
interested.
What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
So it is. I go into the project and I meet with the clients and and we talk about it. And my letter of agreement is really just very open. And it might make some people feel uncomfortable, like some designers, but I know they're going to do more than what they say most of the time.
Right.
And I don't want to box myself in. And that's why I also work hourly.
Okay, so you are an hourly
I
biller.
do. Yes, I know that's always a discussion in your conversation.
It
So,
is. It is.
uh,
Because I mean, I have talked to lots of people, and it's, I think it's 50-50 out there, honestly. I think there are a lot of people who are hourly.
I also think a lot of people lose money.
I do too.
So, if you go hourly and you actually track your hours, you're probably going to do better,
Right.
or at least it'll be fair. And I think a lot of people who are doing flat fee don't want to track their hours. Well, sorry, you still have to track your hours because you've got to know how much time you just spent on that project
Hmm.
to know. And there I was, a 15-year-old working with clay, figuring out that how much I was making hourly.
Hmm.
Right.
So I just don't even know how you can be profitable or track any of your other people who are working for you either,
Right.
who have no skin in the game and they need to keep track of their hours.
What is your hourly rate? Where are you?
Mine is 300 and my assistant is 110 and then drafts people are 150.
Okay, so you separate
Right.
that out. A lot of I've seen a lot of designers, there are some that do, like you work with my team, it's less of an hourly rate. And then I see some designers who keep it
Yep, I do too.
flat too, so that client gets the billing at their hourly rate no matter who is working on the project, because it's the brand is working on your project.
Yeah.
So it's curious. It's hard.
I
Is it
think
hard to track your other people, or are you good? Is everyone on the team really good at that?
everyone's good.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's the
I
dream.
I have the
Yeah.
most
Awesome.
amazing assistant.
What do you do when this is always what comes up when people do hourly? What do you do? What is your strategy for those moments when you're just kind of like you're in the shower, you're thinking about the project, you're running through scenarios in your brain? I think it's something that most designers can't stop themselves from doing? How do you bill for those kinds of scenarios? Do you consider that non-billable time? Do you consider that billable time? Do you rush back and like, okay, I came up with a solution. I think it was about an hour. I mean, how do you stop the clock and start the clock?
That's a good question, but I would say with my $300 an hour, that incorporates some of those times. That incorporates some of the time that I'm at high point in sourcing new things. Unless I'm specifically working on a client, and if it's just me musing, I probably am not calling that focus time. Of course, we spend more time outside, but that's why that's why my hourly rate is higher.
Right.
I'm
Right.
doing a whole bunch of stuff outside of sitting at the computer and working or talking to the contractor on site.
Right.
So you've got to make your hourly rate high enough to cover some of that.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's really important that, that people are really looking at the numbers in a broad way. Are you also doing those things sounds like you've been very mature and responsible. So I'm assuming you do those things that we want all designers to do, which means like setting yourself up for retirement savings and doing all the things that you need to do for your own future. Is that part of your business philosophy as well?
Yes.
Yeah. I love
But I will
hearing
say
that.
I was 23 years old when I started working as an artist, and I happened upon, as things often do, miracles. I saw an ad for through an art center for taxes for artists. I was just starting out on my own, and I took this little class that was like an afternoon seminar about taxes for artists. And there were no computers. We were working on a ledger I basically could look at a Schedule C and transfer all the numbers to all of the different categories on my Schedule C. And so that is the way I thought. I started thinking about the tax return as how my business was going to run.
Right. Right.
And it was the serendipity of falling into that class that right at the beginning of being self-employed, and Schedule C is not that complicated. I didn't have an LLC yet or any of those things. Just knowing where the numbers track to kind of set you up for success in business.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I think you have to protect yourself and you have to be able to know the numbers so that you can make decisions that are smart about your business. But also I think that when people come in, it's so tricky. I watch the process from the designer's perspective all the time. And there's this moment when you've got this client who's come into your world and they want, you want to do their project. And sometimes just in talking to them, the numbers are not going to make sense and you just kind of like want to force it in. You want to do that. Sometimes even if you're not I have designers who have not made money on projects because the project was so cool and they really wanted to do it and they really loved the house and they really loved and they just made a decision that wasn't super financially savvy or, times were tough and they're like, some money, no money. Which one should I do? And so they take something that might not be as profitable, but these are long-term things. So, I mean, when you do that, you're stuck with this person. Could be for a year, could be for 2 years. And they're taking up a portion of your time and you're not able to take that job that is profitable because you took a job that is a stinker and isn't profitable. So I love that you found this and that you also gravitated to the numbers so young. And did you start your and then knowing that there's overhead, no matter what, even if you're working from home, everything you're buying for your office, every trip to High Point, every advertising dollar, your website and the hosting and subscriptions that you belong to, all of those things are overhead, even including your time. It starts on the Schedule C. Yeah.
These are expenses. I must keep that track of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah. And including the retirement savings and the medical portion, if you're paying for your own insurance, those are parts of owning a business that we have to factor in. And if you, at the end of the day, don't have money, let's just say to go to High Point or to go to advertise, then that's what your business is telling you. You don't have money to do those things. So, but these things are the fundamentals and they come first.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is is what do I have money to do? And if you don't have money to market, you have to do the DIY marketing and put the hours in to do that. How many homeowners are thinking, we still have that thing where so many of the homeowners think that all we do is pick pretty furniture. How do you explain the real value you're bringing to the table? Because that level of organization and all of the things that you're doing, what is your closing rate and how are you expressing that to your clients?
My closing rate is really high. It's
I would bet it is. I would bet it is. I can feel it.
Turn people down before I take them. And but so many of my jobs are referral. It doesn't mean I still don't advertise, but it's the trade partners who are referring me.
Right.
And that is ideal.
Yeah.
How have you built that relationship? Now you said you do the blog, you have blogging and in your world. How have you built those relationships? Is that part of
actually
it?
do blogging more just for the SEO on my website. I
Right.
don't know that. The one thing I do, I use Kate the Socialite. I've been using her for years and years for my newsletter, and I do a newsletter religiously every month. That goes out.
I agree. I mean, I have spoken hundreds of times at trade shows, and I've polled, as you well know, on Interior Design Community. We poll almost every week, multiple times a week, and I'm always shocked that referrals come up as the number one source of new business. And then when I ask people if they do a newsletter, it's like crickets. It's like, and Nile knows because I bug him about it all the time too. He is turning red right now because he's like, yeah, she's talking about me.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about all of them because I will ask a whole audience of 150 people, 200 people, and one person will raise their hand that they do newsletters. I know. Yeah. You'll be my person. And I'm like, come on, guys.
I think you have to not care about it. That's the thing for me. You have to do the newsletter and not care. I think I care so much about everything. I do, because I was on a roll. I was doing newsletters and I was like, and I think your philosophy of one a month, I think that's the sweet spot. I was doing them like once a week. And then I saw 5 people unsubscribe and I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing newsletters anymore. Like 5 people dropped off. I went from 500 subscribers to 495. I'm done. I can't take it. So I think
that's another key for me. I never look at who unsubscribes.
Well,
I never look at who unfollows me. I set that rule for myself forever ago because it hurt my feelings.
And so me too. My project manager told me that.
I don't hurt my own feelings.
Yeah, my project manager was like, "Don't you know you never ever look at those numbers." And I was like,
because it doesn't matter. Sometimes people unsubscribe for their own personal reasons. Like they might be like, "I'm cleaning my inbox. I'm going to unsubscribe from everybody." Yeah. Or they might be like, "I am so crazy busy," or "I'm going through like a death in the family and I don't want to see anything right now," or there's just a million reasons, and I let that be their business. It's not my business. That's their business. They can keep that.
So I think I'm gonna try Christie's method. I'm gonna do once a month. I'm gonna get back in the saddle once a month.
Keep it heavy. I feel like keep it heavy on imagery because that's what we have. That's our best.
Yeah.
I put 4. If this is Kate, I mean she is the master. 4 images. I usually use all my own. I don't use much of their stock. But you can use some stock to fill in and not a lot of text. I don't think the text is that important. Most people think about you. When I get some spam, I look at that. Tell this to the reps. Okay, here you've got their ear. Put pictures in their emails. If they send an all text email, what does that tell me? Show me what's new.
Yeah,
they have beautiful photography of their product. Put it in their email, embed it.
I know.
Not something I have to click. So you got to.
They're looking at open rates versus click. And unfortunately, the data science in email is the more images you put in, the more people don't. It doesn't Google sees it as a sales message, and so it doesn't always get into the inbox, and so some people, as a philosophy, have decided no, only text, because then that it tricks people that it's a personal email rather than a business email. And so there are a lot of people who do it. We made the decision long ago with our email that I want images in it because I wanted it to feel like a fashion magazine when someone was opening it. I like it.
And we're 95% visual.
Right.
So
And
It's
women,
not
a
worth it.
lot of women in our industry, they want to see something cool. They want to look at something interesting. And I feel like we could do that too for our clients, and we can just kind of like my philosophy on email is give something of value. I mean, they're already been your client. They might not be interested in anything to do with design per se always, but they like you and you've spent time with them. And so do things that are like really interesting. I think of there are eight like I've identified eight content buckets for designers, and really just one of them, if it's got something to do with one of them, you're good. It could be like, oh, these are cool things that I think are interesting, or here's some great, it's the end of summer coming soon. It could be like, you're probably going to be putting your grill away. Here's some good stuff to do that. And like, this is what people are thinking about right now. Or it could be a staycation place that is local to most of your audience, or a really cool restaurant open downtown. And it's also a way to like, be in the know with you don't want to be only coming up in terms of one thing. You could be coming up in many conversations with your clients, past clients. They could be like, oh, they sent me a song, or they sent me a playlist, or they sent me a fun road trip idea, or they sent me, it doesn't really have to even be design related. It could be anything that you think your audience would think is fun and interesting, and the way you see the world. Designers see the world in such a artsy, fun way. I mean, you guys are seeing things that most people don't see on the regular basis, and the way you look at things. Like, this restaurant's cool because of the way how they did the design and how beautiful it is and how you feel when you're in the restaurant. And I think you guys should go check it out. And they will probably go and think, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. Let's go for a date night. That could be an email. It doesn't have to be, we have a sale on pillows, 2 for 1 this month.
Right.
They're building a
those are boring.
Those are the things they're the things you do with your friends, the things you share that you talk about. You're creating the friendships. You're creating that relationship.
Right. So in that process, it feels like because you have this organization down, do you have a special like plan on how you get the clients to make decisions? Are you good at that transition? It feels like you'd be good at that.
Yeah.
It's always hard. And there's the first few times you talk to someone, you have to figure out who's the decider, how do they decide, how long do they need to perseverate, what are the things that are going to motivate them to make decisions. And the more experience you get, the better. You're just doing it. You just know. I have a client right this minute who the husband wants to make decisions immediately. The wife wants to think indefinitely. And I'm looking at this, and you find their pain point. So she is dying to pick paint colors. Sorry, we can't pick paint colors until we've picked upholstery and rugs. Rugs first, upholstery second, paint colors last.
Perfect.
And that is the only thing that's, I think, is going to motivate her to make to make some of these decisions, which are essential, because they will not have furniture when their house is completed if we don't make the decisions. And I'm not really manipulating her or trying to.
No,
I'm really saying this is the way it works, and you need to make decisions. So I need to sometimes understand the process, and a little explanation helps them get there. And what happens, if you don't pick the plumbing fixture and the plumber comes, that contractor has them working this week, but they won't get them again until a month and a half from now.
Right.
So often, and I do this in my initial introduction, I tell them some of these horror stories. And so often the homeowner is saying the contractor is the problem. Okay. And I say to them, some people say that. And I'm going to give you a few examples of some of the things that happen. This homeowner didn't pick the kitchen faucet in time, and then the plumber wasn't available for a month. Whose fault is it? You have to kind of point out that every contractor isn't the villain.
That's right.
Right. Like, they're trying to do what, it's really hard to manage the schedule of home building. That's like, not a job I'd want.
We do. That's what we do. We take that. My assistant is particularly good at all of that, the logistics. And that is the part that overwhelms most people. And so this is all going on in the background. I one time had a client who was fantastic. She was a great client. She said, she looked at my bullet points on my timesheet, and one of them was email client. And she said, I don't think I should be paying for email. And I said, let me tell you something. 80% of what I do is email. I'm riding the contractor. I'm riding the tradespeople. I'm checking with the vendors. I'm checking on the warehouse. All of that is done through email.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's I don't know, 8% where we're actually designing anything. The rest of the time we are tracking it and making sure it gets there on time or put together and assembling, window treatments can be 20 components. All those components have to come together at the same time to be installed. So it's a lot of explaining. And I feel like we as designers are really good at understanding both the client and the contractor.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes those two don't communicate well together, but here we are.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
the person who makes that happen.
Making it palatable and easy and understand, like translating the construction process is not easy. But you're right. It's those little decision blockers that create a situation where you can't move forward. It can cause serious delays. Of course, you come at the end of a schedule if you missed a deadline. You've got these really talented tradespeople. They're in for the time we booked them 4 months ago, 5 months ago. This is all, this isn't a last minute decision for us until you're delaying everything. And then it does become a last minute decision for us.
Sometimes the contractor doesn't convey that decision needs to be made at that time. They may have decided it, but they didn't say it.
Right. So well, I think it's the communication. There's always going to be, no matter what, when you have multiple people, there's always going to be communication problems. And so becoming a good communicator as a designer is such a great skill because it can keep the team and the project moving forward. How do you balance keeping your love of the creativity with all of this productivity that you've embedded into your business?
That's a good question. Because there are days when you're like, I just have to design something. I got to go look at something. I'm sick of looking at a spreadsheet.
Yes.
And then there are days when you're out too much doing pretty and you're like, where is this going? I need to look at the spreadsheet.
Right.
So I think you get to a point where, okay, and sometimes it's my assistant who looks at me and goes, okay, rein it in. We're going back to that. And nope, stop looking. We've got enough choices. You're done. So, but you do have to feed that. You have to feed. You can't. One of the things I find is I can't take too many jobs where I'm not going to like the outcome.
Yeah.
Where the homeowner has, frankly, what I call bad taste.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I can help it, I'm not taking that job. Maybe somebody else is a perfect fit for it. And I have a whole designer group that I get along. It's very similar to your community, but just local.
I love it.
And we communicate once a month. We have a Zoom meeting with a topic and guests, and we talk to one another. And then we have resources that are we update. And then we have, anytime anyone has a crisis.
And this isn't part of an association. You just started, you guys just were.
We started it. All of us had the basic, we had started as Kimberly Selden.
Yeah, I know Kim. Yeah.
She does fantastic things about business. And so it was a business of design group. And so we made a rule that you had to have had that foundation because I think it's a great foundation.
Yeah.
And she's a great person.
Yeah.
And that way people were operating as a business because I have no patience for people who don't operate as a business.
Right.
I have no patience for people who make the same mistake over and over again and aren't charging enough or aren't charging at all or, what the heck are you doing? Just stop it. So at least we started with that basis. And if they start doing that, I'm like, okay, go back to your 15 steps because you're wasting our time. Don't cry to me about it.
Right.
Because you haven't been billed for 3 months. What's wrong?
Right.
So we started with that. And then from that, we moved out into other things. And I was trying to think actually before this, what our favorite topics are. Or I know what mine are in particular. What I think is really valuable is having business experts, often not in our industry, who know things about business. And that's where you get.
And that's what we teach. We have a whole program for showrooms for our interior design community because we have become, I just have become an expert on how to build interior design communities. And so I often am telling them, you're doing infomercials dressed up like education. And we can tell. I'm sorry, but you can put a pretty picture on it and we still know you're just trying to sell lighting or you're just trying to sell whatever the product is instead of give value. And then that builds the relationship with the products. So don't worry about selling the products. The designers are going to, if you given them something of value, they're going to be loyal to you too. So if you're selling lighting and you have a lawyer come in and talk about contracts, and you have a bookkeeper coming in and talking about how to read a P&L, and you have someone coming in and talking about and then it's not as easy as that, even, because many of these showrooms are owned by men. And so they make the graphic the ugliest they possibly can. The title is bad. The takeaways are bad. I'm like, it's all works together. You have to know who your audience is and do it in a way that, I have a list of, it's so funny. It's embarrassing that I do this, but I have a list on my phone, because I'm online all the time anyway. And I screenshot events as a fun little hobby for designers, and I put them in a Apple Note that is called events interior designers won't get a babysitter for. Because I'm like, what are they thinking? Like, we're not going, a busy working profitable interior designer is not hiring a babysitter to go to martinis and manicure night unless they don't have, I would want to be with my husband, I want to be at home with my family unless I have a business reason to be there.
Right.
And so it has to be a fun, exciting thing that I think I'm going to get something out of. And, if you've dressed up like color for luxury colors of the season, I'm not coming to that.
No.
I don't know any designer who would hire a babysitter to go to that.
I'll tell you one that I went to that was worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I'll give you some of the reasons it worked. It was a Benjamin Moore speed date with painter contractors and designers.
Now that's good.
That's good.
That's good.
And it was in a really great restaurant location that we wanted to go to.
Right.
So you've got multiple layers, and then we're going to see each other, which we always enjoy. So and I ended up contacting a couple of these contractors.
Yeah. I think that's a fun event. That has a point of view that would be a business value to me.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, you have to look at your audience and go, is there a business value for them to come, or am I shoving my business value down their throat? And
I'll tell you another story that our group had a lighting expert. The presentation was lovely. They showed what they can do. They showed how much, lumens and all the things, and talked about the products that they have and how much they can add value to a project. All I wanted to know was, how much is this going to cost, and how do we sell it to our clients, and what's the benefit? What's the payoff for me?
Right.
Okay. My design group was falling on the floor laughing because I was so mean to this guy. I was just like, wait, you are not answering my question. And he never said I don't even think they offered any kind of commission, any kind of anything.
No, they didn't even think. They thought you're a bunch of little cute women who have nothing better to do than to just sell their stuff.
That's crazy.
But I'm not adding $500,000 to a project with all this really beautiful automated lighting and get nothing from that.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Right.
Because they're suggesting that they go straight to them, and okay, no.
Right.
So you've got to find, and that is how you get referrals from our architects and contractors. You add value to them. You're like the best administrative assistant. What they tell the administrative assistant is just make your boss look good.
Right.
So my assistant does that for me, and I do that for both the contractor and the homeowner. And I'm always the mediator. Great people-pleasing skills are very helpful, because I'm looking at what do they need and how can I satisfy both those needs at the same time and make everyone happy.
I love it. Love it.
That's what you have to do all the time.
Well, we'll just,
and then in the end, you will be.
I agree. Can't agree more. We'll end up with a little lightning round that is super fun. One room that is the hardest to get right for you.
I can't really think of a room I don't like to do. I love kitchens and baths. I think they're super fun because you can really make it cohesive in design. And the hardest thing is getting homeowners to make decisions and make good decisions that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what room it is, but
it's the homeowner.
Usually, and trying to, and I think as you get more confident, as you're in business longer, you are more confident.
Yeah.
And you can say, that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, you don't feel confident enough to say that. But after, I always regret when I don't.
Right.
Just say, I prefer the approach of not saying that doesn't work, but this is what does work. I
Right.
always try to lead with the positive and not the negative. Don't say no to anyone. Say, what about this? And always lead with the positive. If there's a problem on a job site, it makes me insane when the contractor comes and says, well, there's a problem. We can't do this. I was like, tell me what the other options are.
Yep.
And I won't go to my homeowners and do that. I'm coming back with one who's the perfect answer, but maybe if there's a couple other options. But there should always be a solution in your statement. You should not come with only the problem.
Yeah, I agree. I
in
agree.
anything.
Is there
So-
one design trend you want to disappear forever?
Gray.
Gray.
I
Yeah.
second that.
One
I'm
splurge
always
that's
thinking-
always worth it.
I didn't like it in the beginning. When it first started, I thought this is not going well. I don't like
It
this
was
gray.
I as a fun little hobby, I like to look at like Zillow and stuff and just like to look at houses. And when gray was like at its peak, I was like, this is like prison. We put ourselves in prison. Like when you were looking at every house and every house was gray, every single house, I'm talking like those contractors are coming in with gray and painting every room gray. Every
Yep.
room was gray. I
That's
was like,
something-
this is nuts.
Yeah,
It was nuts.
that's the one. And I love the move towards color again.
Yeah.
Not just brown and beige, but we're going into real color. I'm not a maximalist, as you've seen from my work. I like things to be kind of pretty tight, but I enjoy seeing that. And I really love the designers who are starting just putting everything in there and making it work. I think that's really fun. So that's a good trend going
Yeah.
going
I love
forward.
it.
I think people are going to want to keep doing it.
I
it's
think so
good.
too. I think so too. The last one we'll do is one splurge that's always worth it.
Well, we talked about the mural. So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
go to it again. A mural is a great splurge. The other one is absolutely window treatments.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You don't
love
do window treatments and the room doesn't let you can't photograph it. You have to do window treatments.
Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing on the upper level of all the furniture is on the low level. This is a part of the balance and the composition. All your furniture is on the low level. Without window treatments, you have no balance.
Right. Right.
So that is it's definitely a
It
splurge.
makes a room. It makes a room go from ordinary to extraordinary, for sure. Absolutely. Well, this has been so amazing. Thank you, Christie. This is so great. I can't wait for our audience to see you and find out all about you. And I know you're going to have people wanting to join your little group. I'm 100% sure of it because they're like, I need to get my business together. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you. It was really fun. It's great to see you in person like this.
This episode is brought to you by Curry & Company. Designers, you know the moment. You walk into the room and the lighting stops you in your tracks. Chances are it might be Curry. Curry & Company has built its reputation on pieces that feel sculptural, collected, and timeless, from hand-finished chandeliers to statement lamps, furniture, and accessories. Their collection is top-notch. If you haven't explored their newest introductions, take a look. Visit curryandcompany.com,